Hi there. Today's review is for the book called The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. Now, this book is centered around a gentleman whose name is Ted. He's on his way back home and meets an attractive young lady in an airport lounge. Her name is Lily. And so they struck up a conversation. They ultimately started talking about his personal life. Seemed as though she had some agenda. That was my thought anyway in the start of the book because she was asking a lot of personal questions. But I guess that's the point of talking to a stranger. You can ask whatever you want and you'll never see them again. But anyway, the conversation ultimately led to talking about his personal life. And he had mentioned that he thought his wife was cheating on him. And so he had found out basically by sneaking around the other side of the house with his binoculars and saw them, his wife Miranda, and they were renovating a house, her and the contractor named Brad. So, I mean, he knew, but of course, she wasn't confessing, and he hadn't directly confronted her about it. But anyway, they had this conversation, and she had mentioned, why don't you kill her? Which I felt like that should have been a red flag to him that she was kind of dangerous or something's wrong with her. Because if it were me and if somebody mentioned that directly to me, I would wonder and I would try to back away slowly. But anyway, this didn't deter him, and they had kept in touch um, since then. And it seemed like he had been warming to the idea of killing his wife because they had figured out a plan and all that to get it done, and they had met up a few times. Um, anyway, so we find out later in the book that there's some history between this lady Lily and Miranda because they knew each other in college, but she had gone by a different name back then. So anyway, while Lily was in college, she was dating this guy that she was pretty serious about. But anyway, she was went back home and he was working in the city. They had planned, to have a life together, but because of his job, he didn't want to leave the city, and so the plan was for him to, come see her on the week, spend the weekend with her. I think she was out in Maine or something, someplace in the Northeast, and he was in the city. So they were happy with the arrangement for the time being, and so she would see him on the weekend. But anyway, she had an inkling. I can't remember exactly what gave her the idea that something was wrong, but she decided to go into the city one day and to show up at his work. And so she didn't really go and announce herself, but she kind of stood back and watched. And where he supposedly should have been, he wasn't. And when she was by his work, he came out and met with this girl, and she was horrified to discover that it was this girl Miranda that she had known. And he had said that there was nothing going on. She was just trying to be friendly. Enough. Of course, she knew her. But the weird thing was that she had reddish hair, and she had changed her hair to, it seemed like she was trying to be her. So anyway, she didn't take too kindly to that. And of course, her mind was set on revenge. And so, ultimately, she got her revenge. I won't spoil that part of it. But anyway, so years later, she's meeting this guy, Ted, in the airport, which Ted turns out to be Miranda's current husband, who is the girl from college. So, anyway, before they actually got to commit this crime, Ted was killed in what the police ruled as a home invasion. And Lily thought that was kind of suspicious. So she took it upon herself to find out more about this. And of course, she didn't want to let it go because she felt like Miranda had to have had something to do with this. And it was kind of suspicious that with the timing of what was going on between her and Ted, that now he would be dead. He would have been killed. So knowing that Brad, having the history and the backstory in talking to Ted, she knew that Brad and Miranda was into something. So she went to where they lived, sorted out Brad, and so tried to convince him to come to her side, and they had planned to kill Miranda. Now, when they were meeting, Miranda had come up because when Ted died, the police were investigating, talking to her, talking to the contractor, and so she wanted to make sure that they were all good and he didn't say anything that would lead the police down the wrong road. or to pursue certain things that she didn't want them to. And so when she went there, she found Lily. She recognized her and she was like, oh my goodness, we'll start to spin. So, of course, she confronted Brad. And so they decided on a double cross. And so now she wanted to double cross Brad and Lily. And of course, Lily wanted to double cross her. And so it got kind of tricky. And so ultimately, um, I'm trying not to give away the plot at this point, but anyway, ultimately Miranda had her way, and so of course now we have two players left. I'm sorry, not Miranda. Lily had her way, so we have two players left now, Lily and Brad. So of course, you know how there's no honor among thieves, right? So with bad guys, nobody wants to leave any trails, any loose ends behind. So of course it's going to be either Lily or Brad. One of these two are going to have to go down. So ultimately, in the end, there's one person standing. So this book was quite interesting. There's lots of twists and turns in it. I'm trying so hard not to give away the plot, but if you have read or listened to this book, let me know your thoughts. Please like, comment, and until next time,